In the golden age of piracy, one name struck more fear into the hearts of merchants and monarchs than any other: Henry Every, the man they called the King of Pirates. His story isn't just one of plunder and treasure. It's a tale of rebellion, ambition, and one of the most audacious heists in history. A crime so massive, it triggered the world's first global manhunt. Our story begins not on a pirate ship, but aboard the Charles II, a Spanish warship. It's 1694, and a man named Henry Every is serving as first mate. The crew hasn't been paid in months, and their patience is wearing thin. They're stuck in a Spanish port, their future looking bleak. While the captain is ashore, likely enjoying a fine meal, Every sees his chance. He wasn't born a leader, but circumstances were about to make him one. In the dead of night, Every rallied the disgruntled crew. His words were simple but powerful. If they wanted a better life, they had to take it themselves. He promised them not just wages, but riches beyond their wildest dreams. The plan was bold: mutiny. That night, under the cover of darkness, Every and about 85 men seized control of the Charles II. They renamed her the Fancy, a name that would soon become infamous. With a powerful, fast ship under his command, Every declared himself captain. He wasn't a tyrant like some pirate captains. He ruled by consent, sharing the power with a council of his men. He even offered to let the sailors who didn't want to join the mutiny go ashore unharmed. This act of fairness earned him immense loyalty. His crew knew he was different. He wasn't just a pirate, he was their leader. Every set his sights on the Indian Ocean, a treasure highway for the Mughal Empire of India. This was where the real money was. The Mughals transported unimaginable wealth, including the annual pilgrim fleet journeying to Mecca. These ships were laden with gold, silver, and precious gems. Every knew that capturing just one of these vessels could make him and his crew rich for life. But he wasn't the only pirate with this idea. In the waters near the Red Sea, he encountered other pirate captains, including the notorious Thomas Tew. Instead of fighting over territory, Every did something brilliant. He proposed an alliance. Why compete when they could cooperate? Soon, a small pirate fleet was assembled, all under the command of Henry Every. His leadership and strategic mind were undeniable. He was building a pirate armada. In September 1695, their moment came. The scouts spotted their prize, the Ganjai Sawai, the flagship of the Mughal fleet. This was no ordinary merchant ship. The Ganjai Sawai, whose name means exceeding treasure, was a monster of a vessel, armed with over 60 cannons and carrying hundreds of soldiers. It was also carrying the personal treasure of the Mughal emperor himself, Aurangzeb, and many of his relatives returning from their pilgrimage. The battle that followed was legendary. The pirates, though outnumbered, were relentless. The Fancy, with its 46 guns, closed in on the Mughal behemoth. The first broadside from the Fancy was devastating. A lucky shot struck the Ganjai Sawai's mainmast, crippling it and leaving it vulnerable. Then, one of the Ganjai Sawai's own cannons exploded, causing chaos and confusion on its deck. The pirates seized the opportunity and boarded the massive ship. What happened next is a dark chapter in pirate lore. For days, the pirates ransacked the Ganjai Sawai. They tortured and brutalized the passengers to force them to reveal the locations of hidden valuables. The reports of the atrocities committed were horrific and spread like wildfire. The pirates left with a staggering fortune, estimated to be worth hundreds of millions of dollars in today's money. It was the single richest haul in pirate history. When news of the attack reached Emperor Aurangzeb, he was enraged. The brutal assault on a sacred pilgrim ship was an insult to his empire and his faith. He threatened to end all trade with the English East India Company, a move that would have been financially catastrophic for England. The English government, facing a diplomatic crisis of epic proportions, had no choice but to act. They declared Henry Every and his crew hostis humani generis, enemies of all mankind. A massive bounty of £1,000 was placed on Every's head, an unprecedented sum at the time. This was no longer just a hunt for a criminal. It was the world's first global manhunt. Every pirate in the Atlantic and Indian Oceans was now a target. But where was the king of pirates? While the world was hunting for him, Every and his crew sailed to the Bahamas, a notorious pirate haven. They bribed the governor, Nicholas Trott, with gold and ivory, even gifting him their ship, the Fancy. For a short time, they lived like kings, but Every knew the heat was on. The Bahamas was no longer safe. This is where the story of Henry Every becomes a mystery. The crew dispersed, each man taking his share of the treasure and melting back into society. Some were caught, tried, and hanged. Their testimonies from the gallows provided much of what we know about the raid. But what about Every himself? He vanished, utterly and completely. One popular story, likely spread by a fictionalized book at the time, claimed he was tricked out of his fortune by merchants in Devon, England, and died in poverty. It's a satisfyingly ironic end for a man who stole so much, but there's little evidence to support it. Another theory is that he successfully retired. With his immense wealth, he could have easily changed his name, bought an estate, and lived out his days in quiet anonymity. He had the money, the intelligence, and the motivation to disappear forever. He had achieved the ultimate pirate's dream, not just to get the treasure, but to get away with it. Unlike Blackbeard or Calico Jack, Henry Every was never captured. He was never brought to justice. His reign as the king of pirates was short, lasting only about 2 years, but his impact was immense. His incredible heist destabilized international relations, led to a worldwide crackdown on piracy, and ironically helped usher in the end of the very era he had come to define. His story captured the public imagination. Plays were written about him, books were published, and he became a legend. He was the pirate who won, the man who defied an empire, stole its greatest treasure, and then simply walked away. The ultimate fate of Henry Every, the arch-pirate, the king of pirates, remains one of history's most tantalizing unsolved mysteries. He sailed into legend, and we're still talking about him more than 300 years later. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this journey into the life of a pirate king, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more stories from the wild side of history. See you next time.